It is currently 3 in the morning as I'm recording this video, and I felt the need to get this video off my chest because I know deep down there's a lot of value to it. Now, take my word for granted that every single thing I say about this video is one that I guarantee will change your life. And the biggest way I want to start this off is how we as humans function. I believe that every single one of us has two major functions that run the entire world, and those are creating and consuming. Every single thing you do in this life will relate back to creating and consuming something. And the reason why is because we as humans evolve from doing something out of gaining knowledge from it. We see that big tree over there. There's so many different ways to approach the tree, and by learning about how the tree works, what function the tree itself does, we then are able to apply it and evolve as people. Now, as we evolve and move throughout this modern era, things have changed. We become more stable, our lives become more situated, and in particular, our problems become less of physical problems and more mental things that are going on inside our head. Take, for instance, the fact that I can't get any sleep last night. It's that idea, it's the function that we are stuck doing the same thing over and over that we often lose sight of what we are. And that is what creating and consuming does. Whenever we consume something, we are gaining knowledge out of it. Whenever we are creating something, we take the knowledge based off of that consumption to create something new, something bright, and something vivid. That's what all the greatest people in mankind have done. They created something beyond their own head. And even in the moments where they're lost, confused, and even in a place where they don't know what to do, they always go back to the drawing board. Now, how does this tie back to books? Ladies and gentlemen, books have been one of the biggest things in my life. But I want to discuss less about what it's done for me and more what it can do for you. Hello, I am Arnel Arcega, and I'm one of the healthiest authors and writers on this platform. No matter what, I'll continue showing up, teaching people about the value of books. And if you want personal help to write your own, then check out my Instagram down the link in the description, as well as my books down there as well. For now, let me explain why you should write your own book from my own personal experience and how this ties back into creating and consuming. About 3 years ago, 2023, the end of 2023 specifically, I started writing my first ever novel. Not the one in the top link of the description called A Small World Smiles, but rather a book titled That Comedian. I remember scrolling on Twitter in December of that year and being so disappointed about how the world was. Even at the time, as a freshman in high school, I noticed that the world seemed empty. Comedy wasn't as funny anymore, and people just talked about the same things over and over. It became repetitive and annoying. And 3 years later, I still stand by that sentiment. But back then, I took action. I grabbed a piece of paper and pen and started jotting away ideas about a comedian, a failed comedian specifically, and how he'd traverse in a world full of cancellation and humor. And that was one major thing that I wanted to write my book around. Even though it's based on 2022, the idea still remains strong. That Comedian was my first ever book. So what happened? When I started writing that book, I will be honest, I had no idea what I was doing. I tried taking inspiration from some of my favorite books, such as The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak and the entire Harry Potter series. But because I've written the book in first person, it was entirely different. I had to come up with ideas about how I'm going to approach it. And I approached it in a similar way to the way I journaled back then. And when I used that technique of using what I've consumed back then, I then created something that I was proud of. Keyword was, because for 2 months, I kept That Comedian as a side project that I believed wouldn't go anywhere. I thought for months, weeks even, that I didn't know what I was going to do. And by the time it was March, around this area of the year, I remember deleting the full file of that comedian on my laptop. The interesting thing is that it's still on my school laptop. So a few weeks before recording this video, I went back to that original file and read it all over again. That comedian is so interesting to me because as someone who's never written a book before, or at least at the time when I've never written a book, I had this feeling in me, this hunger to write something passionate. It was about knowing that the world was in its place. It was about the fact that we needed something new, something creative and sharp that challenged the world's beliefs. And even as a 13, 14-year-old, I wanted to be that someone. That someone drove me forward and allowed me to write 3 books in the past 3 years. It's a crazy experience to me because I remember going back and changing the story. That comedian eventually became A Small World Smiles as I focused less on the comedy and more about the central problems of my life at the time. How does a modern high schooler work when considering the placement of years ago, like 2011? How does that change over time? And that idea kept spinning in my head over and over. That, my friends, is what I call creativity. The thing that allowed me to be more creative was consuming. At this current state in my life right now, I am genuinely at the peak of my creativity. I've been making some of my best videos ever, at least the capabilities I'm at now. And I've been consuming books that challenged my way of thinking. One of my favorite examples is Lord of the Flies, which has been this amazing story of challenge, triumph, and honest stupidity that allows us to grow as people. And that hunger, ladies and gentlemen, is what I believe many of us want. We live in a world now where AI is so accessible. We live in a world where everyone is so tired of each other. And we're so headstrong and focused on one big agenda that we lose the full picture of what we're trying to build. We're trying to build worlds. We're trying to build energies, ideas, and most of all, stories. You must create as much as you consume. You can't be doing one end or the other. When you create non-stop, you are profiting. It is capitalism in a way, yes, but you're also losing soul. When you're consuming too much, you are losing the creative mind. You're losing the creative heart to do something. When you're balancing both, balance what is in the middle of the tree, what you can do with the world around you. That will make you the best possible creator out there. It isn't just about being one side of the coin or the other. It's about doing what it takes to win. And when I wrote A Small World Smiles, my first novel, all those years ago, I had to revisit it for the sake of this video. How much time has changed, how much I've changed, and how much I'm willing to evolve as a person the more I consume and the more I create. I hope that can allow you to start writing your own book, because that, for me, was the biggest factor in doing so. And it was motivation. It was the ability to be motivated and change my own perspective on life. We all have different reasons to write a book, yes, but the one thing should remain. We should consume media related to the book's topic, and we should be able to write about it in more ways than one. I'm so happy to see the rise of reading, because reading is one of my favorite things out there. But it's another story to enjoy the process of writing, even with all the editing down the line, even with the publishing, even with the idea that no one even reads your book. It's about creating something that you're genuinely proud of. And I do that with every single YouTube video you see here. It's the reason why it is currently 3:38 in the morning and I'm still recording, because I have much more to give and I have much more to deliver every single day of my life. And when I consider a new book, when I consider a new idea, it's terrifying to say the least, because I have no idea what I'm going to do. And I hope this video is one that not only motivates you, but gives you the advice to make you be a headstrong creator in whatever field, but specifically writing a book. There's this one quote from How to Tell a Story that I want you to understand. It goes, I wrote it on my wall behind the camera. The end of a story is like a good meal. We are sedated, but it doesn't mean that we'll never be hungry again. And that is such a powerful quote to me that I physically wrote it on my closets. It's so important that we are continually consuming something new every day while expanding our knowledge. It's not just about getting education from school, but it's about learning through books, writing through books, and doing it for the sake of writing a damn good story. We aren't writing a book to profit, even though that is something I want to do. It's about writing something that has genuine meaning and triumph in a world full of mediocrity and stupidity. I want to take the time to thank you for being able to watch to this point, as I know I've, in a way, just been yapping about ideas that continue coming to my mind. But if there's one major thing I want you to take away from this video, is to be inspired. It takes a lot to explain how to be a good writer, as we always see everything go on in everyday life. But I want you to imagine anything you want, whether it's a physical body part or even like the lamp around you. If I were to describe this video in a book, I can do it in a snap. I could write, the narrator is expressing his thoughts about the video at hand. He gestures his hands forward, looks at the camera, blinks a few times here and there, but honestly takes a deep breath every single second. He knows what he says because, let's face it, he has the ideas locked in. Even though that's such a simple sentence, it's about how we perform that execution. How are we going to write about the details in the world around us? We can be inspired, but we have to know what it takes to write a good story. But to understand that, my friends, you have to enjoy writing a bad story. To write a bad story is another thing from writing a good story. And I still think about writing a bad story because of the fact that I don't know how to write a good one. We have to begin somewhere. And my first ever book, That Comedian, failed because it wasn't that funny. But I appreciate myself still writing the story because it kickstarted what I consider my career here. There's a lot of ways to write an amazing story, but you have to be bad. You have to consume media that you either like, don't like, or either ignore. And if you're willing to open your mind and heart up in a way that very few creatives, anyone out there says, then you'll go farther than the road anticipates. No matter who you are, whether you're a guy or girl or whatever, it's all about the mind. It's currently 3:42 as of recording this right now. And I can tell you I'm finally feeling exhausted because as all good creatives, artists, businessmen, and so on, we have to be able to expend our work and continue creating something that challenges life. We consume media to learn through books, through videos, through other people, and share it out to the world. So I hope my energy here allows you to create something beautiful, to tell an engaging story, whether it is fictional or nonfiction, and you are willing to challenge your own life for the better. I'm going to go to sleep now, but I want to take the time to thank you. Thank you for watching this video. And if you want personal help from me, then check out my Instagram down the link in the description, as well as my books down there as well. Continue being inspired, and you will be an amazing writer in the long run. I am Arnel Arcega, and until next time, keep on reading, keep on writing, and take care.